Next guest is a contributor for Young Voices and a policy analyst for the Reason Foundation. I want to welcome to the show Jen Sidorova. Did I say that right?
Yes. Hi, guys. Good to be here.
Hey, good to be here. So, are we supposed to be optimistic about the future as millennials and Gen Z?
Yeah.
You know what? Survey data tells us that millennials are indeed very optimistic about their future earnings, about their retirement. But what actual data tells us is that that kind of optimism is ungrounded. Because, you know, a lot of them are behind their savings, and 2/3 of them are not saving anything for their retirement. And some of them, more than half of them, even expect some sort of inheritance, but the chances of getting one are only 25%. So, you know, that data doesn't really add up. So that optimism doesn't make much sense.
Okay, so we are happy, we are optimistic.
Yeah,
but we're
life
also
is going to work out, right?
Yeah, like okay. So we think life is going to work out, but Jen, you're saying life may not work out.
So I don't know that, you know, and I don't know how the labor market is going to be, but so far it's optimistic. You know, we probably are going to have jobs, and unemployment rate is in the all-time low. But what I know for sure is that the pension crisis, the public pension crisis, that's what's going to affect a lot of millennials in the upcoming
Yeah,
years.
because those two words already lost me, and probably a lot of people. Like, what the hell is that?
Right. So public pensions are kind of benefits that are guaranteed to public employees by the government. And so whenever those pension plans are underperforming, whenever they don't receive as many investment returns, basically whenever they don't have enough money in the bank saved up, government needs to find ways of coming up with them. And the most...
Taxes.
Yeah, you're right. So exactly, it's taxes, it's cutting public services. And usually the generation that's in the labor force at the time when something like that happens, and right now it's millennials, that's the generation that suffers.
So we have to pay for these bad decisions that were made in the past.
Pretty much through some forms of, you know, taxation, or, you know, cutting services on like schools, or delayed infrastructure maintenance.
All the stuff we need.
Yes,
Yeah,
basically.
when I looked at that chart, it was only 2009 that was a huge dip, but nobody was doing well in 2009. So as a millennial, like, why should I care about it? Because every other year seemed okay.
Yeah, the pensions are growing. Shouldn't they be solvent by now?
Right. So that's the kind of mentality that a lot of those pension boards have, that, you know, we've had the growth, we had a lot of good investment return years for the past 30 years. But what we can tell from analysis of a lot of, you know, different places that do this sort of financial analytics, that the next 20 years are not going to see as good, you know, as good of a return.
So all those savings that we managed to muster up, you know, which is already hard as a millennial or a member of Gen Z, we're not going to get great returns either.
So it depends on your own retirement account, you know. When it comes to public pensions, that's kind of managed by the government. But when you look at your own retirement, you got to really diversify. That's the best advice that I can give you. You know, look at all the sorts of retirement planning, retirement saving apps that are on the phone or whatever. Make sure that you contribute to your 401k and your employer matches that. Try to, whenever your income grows, try to make sure your retirement contribution grow, and even look at real estate if it makes sense in your area.
Well, if I don't even have 401k, if I'm just working gigs, and I don't have 401k, I don't have anything.
A
lot of people our age are like that. What do I do?
You can take advantage of Roth IRA. So you can also use independent retirement tools. You don't actually need 401k to be saving for retirement, because there are a lot of investment companies that help people who do not have a particular tool with their employer, and they have all sorts of calculators that help you to know how much you need to contribute to get the amount of wealth you need in retirement. So there's so many tools you can take advantage of. Just need to explore.
Okay, Jen, one big thing you have to tell us before you leave. Social Security is the #1 pension we're all waiting for, right? We pay into it every day, right? When we work, we contribute towards Social Security. How can we prepare for a future that possibly Social Security either won't exist or won't pay us what we're actually due and what we've paid in?
Okay, Social Security is not really a pension. It's kind of that kind of guaranteed benefit. And you're right. So a lot of millennials, a lot of folks out there a lot of people are very aware of Social Security because we kind of have almost a date on when that goes down, right? And they're not aware of public pensions and all of that. So that's a different thing. But the way you can prepare yourself is make sure that you stay on top of your contributions, you follow your calculator. The general rule of thumb is contribute 15% of your annual income into your retirement, so that by the time you're done with your employment, you need to retire, you have about 60 to 80% of what you're making right now.
15%'s hard.
Yeah, it is very hard for
15, yeah.
just
Yeah.
about everybody. Yeah. All right. Before you go, what is your background and what color is your hair? It's very.
I know the hair looks
Yeah.
great. Tell us about it.
I used to do beauty pageants, so
Really?
that's what it's coming
Quite a
from.
transition, huh? Or do you find it
But
similar?
I do have 2 master's degrees, so that kind of makes up for that.
Beauty and brains.
Yeah.
Where are you from originally?
I am from Russia, but I
Okay.
currently live on Long Island.
Okay, and how did you end up in the United States and representing the Reason Foundation, economically conservative thinking, which is not too common in Europe?
I came to grad school, and then once I learned the basics of economics, it kind of made sense. So,
If only people could be so reasonable.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Jen.
thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.